hope you all are doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have been experiencing a revelation real time that I want to share with you on. For any of you who are concerned about me driving while I'm speaking, I'm not going to look at the camera. The camera was rolling before I started driving because I wanted to record this as I'm working through the process. Any of you who have seen some of my recent videos know that I have been taking care of my sister as a co-caregiver who just had a stroke in 2025. It's called an ischemic stroke, where she had a blood clot, which resulted in her having a stroke in two hemispheres of her brain, the two halves of her brain, the right and the left half, all at the same time. A little bit concerned because initially I had been very grateful. I've been praising God. I had not been depressed. Things were going really, really well for me from a mental health state. And then all of a sudden, I just started having bouts where I was waking up in the morning crying all the time. And I realized in the midst of all of this, a lot of things about my past just started cropping up out of nowhere. I don't know what triggered it, but I'm grateful. And that's what I want to share with you all today. The primary reason for my channel was for me to share with people who are going through similar situations, and perhaps at a younger age. I wanted you to see someone who had come out on the other side. And I got a little embarrassed when depression and feelings of anxiety started to crop up, because it made me wonder, had I really come out on the other side, and how could I be any help or any benefit to anyone else when I was still working through my own issues? And the thing that I can say is this: I made the decision that I will not give up, that I will trust God, and that I will continue to press through. That there are too many people who are relying on me, who I love deeply, who I love sincerely, who are relying on me in this season to not give up. I'm relying on myself. I believe that God has placed dreams on the inside of me that have not come to fruition, that I have to see them out. So that's one reason why I can't give up. But the other reason why I can't give up is because I believe that a lot of things that are happening in my life are a result of the enemy attacking me. And he wants me to give up. And I don't know, there is a stubborn part of myself that I can be a little fearful at times. I can be timid at times. But there's also something in me that rises up when I don't want the enemy to be pleased with anything that I'm doing. It's interesting to me, when I was not a Christian, I had no conviction. I had no concern about anything about God. I didn't care really what God thought about me at all, and I did what I wanted to do. But now that I'm a Christian, it bothers me a lot when I feel that I've done something to displease God. And even yesterday, one of the revelations that I had is that when I was not living for God, I was essentially living for the enemy. I'm not one to believe in shades of gray. I believe that there is good and there is evil, that there is God and that there is the enemy, and not that they're equivalent, because unfortunately God created Lucifer, who we call the enemy. So they're not equal, because Lucifer is a created being. But I was horrified when I realized yesterday that this whole time, anytime I do anything to dishonor God, anytime I obey the devil through my worrying, through giving myself over to fear, through disobeying God, I am essentially worshiping an enemy who I know has three purposes for my life: steal, kill, and destroy. Steal, kill, and destroy. John chapter 10 verse 10. Jesus said that that's what the enemy does, but he came that we might have life and that more abundantly. And it's kind of scary to think about it, that when I was not living for God, and even as a Christian now, when I do things to dishonor God, that the one who is happy is the one who's trying to kill me. I don't like that. The other challenge that I'm having in this season that I want to share with you all, and I don't know if any of you can relate. I always say how much I love God. And I realized through this trigger that I don't know how true that is, that I love God. Because the word of God says that if you love me, you will obey my commands. And I try really hard to obey God. But I'm realizing that I think I'm more afraid of God than it is that I love God. I think I'm more afraid of judgment. I, as a Christian, have had many times where I've looked at him as an authoritarian parent. That's the one where they're really mean and they discipline you, but they're not flexible. I think I've looked at him as one who was waiting to strike me down if I didn't obey him. I didn't look at him as a loving father whose arms I could run into, whose arms were open wide waiting for me. I was looking at him as one who was waiting to strike me down because he caught me in sin. And I think a part of this has to do with the fact that there was a season in my life that is the type of parent my dad
then turn right into the parking lot.
My dad, when I was a child, didn't always know how to discipline, and he would often yell, and he was one who, he was very strict. I thank God that as I got older and as he aged, he softened and he became my best friend. Through his maturity and through my maturity, we began to appreciate and love one another in a way that I don't think that we did when I was growing up in his home. But I think that is part of the reason why I'm fearful of God, because there was a season in my life where I was afraid of my father. So the other challenges that I'm having is that as a person who experienced abuse, fortunately not at the hands of my parent, but at the hands of people who were just reckless with my feelings when I was a child, I experienced abuse numerous times at the hands of sometimes the same person. But I realized, I don't know how honest I've been in saying that I love myself.
Turn right into the parking lot.
So how can one say that they don't know how to love themselves correctly?
You've entered the parking lot for your destination.
The person who you look in the mirror and see every day, and then turn around and say you love a God who you can't see. There's a scripture about that who says, you know, Christians who say they love God, but you hate your brother. Love God who you don't see, but you hate your brother who you see every day. I battle with not loving myself correctly, but then I say I love God. I'm realizing in this season that the reason why I'm feeling sad and often feeling like I'm imploding is because I have not learned to love and embrace myself for who I am today. I almost got nervous when I thought about the work that I'm going to have to do. I actually resumed therapy because I wanted someone to partner with me and objectively look at my life to help me to develop tools to get to a healthier place and to deal with the trauma that I went through. I did an intake with a new therapist, and as I was beginning to explain to her what has happened in my life from 2020 through 2026, she literally looked at me and was like, I don't know how you have a smile on your face right now. That was the first time that I gave myself permission to feel okay crying at what I've been through in this last 6 years. I don't share a lot of what I've been through with you all because some of it is personal to the people who it's affected, and I don't want to say very much. The other thing is that, unfortunately, I think particularly for women, we've been taught to shoulder a lot of things and to put up with a lot of things. We're actually told, oh, be selfish, take care of yourself. Be selfish, take care of yourself. Who said that taking care of yourself is selfish? Why is that selfish? But I think a lot of times as women, we are taught to shoulder and to carry the burdens of other people while we're bleeding and while we're hurting. We're expected to carry others, and that's what I had begun to do. And I was nervous, not at all looking forward to this new phase in my life of me going and getting the help that I need, because I don't know what that's going to entail. And then it dawned on me, this is an exciting time. Why would you not want to learn to love you and learn to love God, who loves you so much, whose word says that he loves you with an everlasting love and that he's showing you your whole entire life of loving kindness. Beloved, I decided that I was going to release this video because I know that my videos resonate with some of you. And unfortunately or fortunately, I'm sure that many of you are going through similar seasons where you're feeling what I'm feeling and you understand how I feel. And I just want to encourage you, as I say all the time, not to give up. If you feel that you need help, I encourage you, get the help you need, whether you need to go to therapy, whether you need to ask a loved one for help, whether you need to just acknowledge and admit you're not okay, if you're not okay. If you just need to be honest and say you need help. Beloved, I pray that in seeing someone else do it, that you'll feel encouraged to know it's okay for you to not be okay and to go where you need to go to get the help that you need. I pray that you also are encouraged in knowing just how absolutely in love God is with you, and that you will love you and take care of you and get you to a better place, so that if you do still want to help others at least you acknowledge that you can't help anyone well. You can't do a great job of helping anyone if you have not first taken care of yourself. That's not selfish. It's not selfish at all. It's self-care. It's self-love. The Bible expects it. It says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if you don't love yourself, you're probably not doing a great job of taking care of anybody else. Be encouraged, beloved. I'll close it right there. And knowing and walking in the truth of who you are, who God created you to be, that God does love you and he made you on purpose. I hope this helps. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.